and gents, this is the moment you've waited for.
This is the greatest show!
And now, here's your host, Clint Arthur.
This is a special person, and I know it's not easy to get here from... Did you come from Tucson?
Yes.
Oh, all the way from Tucson. I was just there 2 days ago myself. So, Robin Degroot, thanks so much for coming in for the greatest show of all time.
Thanks for having me, Clint.
And tell the people what it's all about for Robin Degroot.
Well, it's a creative life that I am building now, and I wanted to talk about a story where I was inspired by a movie I just saw. So I saw Where'd You Go, Bernadette, with Kate Blanchett, and I was so moved by that movie. First of all, I love her, and it was all about a creative person not doing their art and really kind of imploding or self-destructing and putting all this chaos out into the town of Seattle where she was living. Now, I have my kind of experience where I've been moving to several different places over my life, and I like to think of it like my second act, my third act. And right now, this is a beginning of my third act in Tucson, because I've been in California for 20 years. But originally, I started off in Toronto area, north of Toronto, and I wanted to talk about that move. So when I was in my early 20s, I had my daughter, and I was working in Mississauga as a Montessori teacher. My big family all gathered together in Aurelia, where we lived at the time. And my brother, my oldest brother, came back from Australia. I don't know, he traveled all over. And he just said to me, "Are you happy, Robin?" And I was like, I'm fine. Everything's working. I have a job. It's all that. And he just knew my heart. And he said, "Why don't you take this astrocartography session?" And I was like, what's that? I knew astrology a little bit, and I was always very into a lot of those things. So he gave me this number of a woman in Vancouver, Annie Black, and I did this 2-hour phone call where my chart was placed on the map of the world, and a lot of good lines were in Africa, and then the other ones were basically towards Arizona and California. So I was just like, oh, I have to change again. And I was kind of mad at him. I was just like, man. So anyway, I did it. I put out all these resumes. I moved. Eventually, I had my son. He's just off to Irvine now. My children have made a life in California. I have. And I got healed from a hormone condition there with awesome doctors. And I just recommend to always take those changes, even if it's making you frustrated.
How can people find out more about Robin Degroot?
At my website, robinmdegroot.com.
All right. Thanks so much for coming in to the greatest show of all time.
Thank you.